When it comes to giving a presentation in English, the first and most important step is preparing your content clearly. Many beginners make the mistake of jumping straight into speaking without organizing their ideas. This can lead to confusion, pauses, and a lack of confidence. Preparing well is not just about writing notes. It is about creating a roadmap for your speech so your mind and mouth move together naturally. Think of a presentation like a journey. Your audience does not know the path yet. They rely on you to guide them. If you start talking without a clear structure, they may get lost. And when they are confused, your own confidence can drop. A simple structure makes this journey smooth for both you and your listeners. The first step in preparation is to define the main purpose of your presentation. Ask yourself, what do I want my audience to understand or feel? Are you informing, persuading, or sharing your experience? When your purpose is clear, your content naturally becomes focused. Beginners often try to include too much information. This creates overwhelm for both the speaker and the audience. Focus on 3 to 5 main points. This is enough for clarity and easy memorization. Next, organize your points into a simple framework. A common structure is introduction, main points, and conclusion. In the introduction, briefly explain what your presentation is about. This helps your audience know what to expect. For example, if you are talking about your favorite hobby, start with a short sentence like, "Today, I will share why I love painting and how it helps me relax." Simple, clear, and easy to remember. Then move to the main points one at a time. Each point should have a short explanation or an example. Avoid long, complicated sentences. Your goal is to speak naturally, not to impress with complex vocabulary. Simple sentences are easier to remember and easier to deliver with confidence. For instance, first, painting allows me to express my ideas. Second, it reduces my stress. Third, it helps me focus. Notice how each point is connected and easy to follow. After your main points, end with a conclusion. The conclusion reminds the audience of your key message and leaves a lasting impression. It can be a short summary or a personal thought. For example, in conclusion, painting is not just a hobby. It is a way for me to feel happy and focused. When you prepare a conclusion, you give your brain a clear endpoint. This reduces anxiety because you know exactly how your presentation will finish. Another important part of preparation is writing keywords or short notes rather than full scripts. Beginners often try to memorize every word. This leads to robotic speech or panic if you forget a word. Instead, write a few key words or phrases for each section. These words act as signposts in your mind. They remind you what to say next, but still allow your speech to sound natural. For example, under the point reduces stress, your note might simply say relaxing, focus, happiness. When you see this word, your brain fills in the sentence naturally. Visual aids can also support your preparation. Even a small slide with pictures or simple words helps guide both you and your audience. However, remember, slides are support, not a script. They should not replace your preparation. Your spoken words are the main focus. Timing is another factor to consider. When preparing your points, think about how long you will speak on each. Slow and steady speech is better than rushing. Beginners often feel they must fill every second with words. This creates stress and mistakes. A prepared structure allows you to speak slowly, pause when needed, and still cover all your points within the time limit. Finally, preparation is not only about content, it is about building confidence and reducing fear. When your ideas are clear, your mind feels organized. Nervousness comes from uncertainty, not from the audience or the language. By preparing your content well, you give yourself mental space to focus on pronunciation, expression, and connection with your listeners. So, to summarize, preparing your presentation content clearly involves defining your main purpose, structuring with introduction, main points, and conclusion, limiting your main points to 3 to 5 key ideas, using simple sentences and examples, writing keywords instead of full scripts, considering timing and flow, using visual aids lightly, building confidence through clarity. When you practice this, you create a roadmap for your speech. You know exactly where to start, how to proceed, and how to finish. This clarity allows your words to flow naturally. Your audience understands you easily. And most importantly, you feel confident and in control. Remember, a strong presentation begins long before you speak. It begins with preparation. When your content is clear, your speech is clear, and your English becomes fluent naturally. When we talk about giving a presentation in English, the next crucial step after preparing your content is practicing pronunciation and slow speaking. Many beginners think that speaking fast is a sign of fluency, but the truth is quite the opposite. Speaking clearly and slowly is far more important for being understood, especially in a second language. When you practice slow speaking, your mind, mouth, and ears all work together, which builds confidence and fluency naturally. Let's start with why slow speaking is important. English is a rhythm-based language. Native speakers naturally emphasize certain words, pause at the right moments, and connect sounds in a specific way. When you speak too quickly, it is easy to skip syllables, mispronounce words, or jumble your sentences. For a listener, this can be confusing. For you, it creates stress because you notice mistakes and become self-conscious. Slow speaking gives your brain time to process words and sentences. It also gives your mouth time to form sounds core. Actually, pronunciation practice is closely linked to slow speaking. Beginners often know the vocabulary but struggle to pronounce words correctly. For example, words like comfortable, interesting, or vegetable may seem simple when written, but their spoken forms are different. Practicing slowly allows you to notice these differences. You can break the word into parts: comfortable, interesting, vegetable. Repeating these slowly helps your mouth remember the movements. Over time, your pronunciation becomes automatic and natural. Shadowing exercises are extremely helpful for this. Shadowing means listening to a native speaker and repeating exactly what they say slowly at first. Start with small sentences. Good morning, my name is Sarah. Today I will talk about my favorite hobby. Listen carefully to the pronunciation and intonation, then repeat. Don't rush. Focus on accuracy first. Your brain begins to associate sounds with mouth movements, and eventually your speed will increase naturally without losing clarity. Another tip is to focus on stress and intonation. English is not just about the words you say, it's also about how you say them. Stressing the right words and using rising and falling intonation makes your speech sound natural and engaging. Slow speaking helps you hear these patterns. For instance, in the sentence, "I really enjoy painting," the stress is on really and painting. Practicing this slowly allows you to internalize the rhythm, so when you speak "n" normally, it still sounds natural. It's also important to practice common phrases and sentences. Beginners often memorize individual words, but struggle to connect them into fluent speech. By practicing full sentences slowly, you learn the natural flow of English. For example, first, I will introduce my topic. Then, I will explain my main points. Finally, I will summarize my ideas. Repeat these slowly, paying attention to pauses and pronunciation. Later, you can increase speed slightly, but your clarity remains. Slow speaking also improves your listening skills. When you slow down your own speech, you train your brain to process sounds more accurately. This helps you understand questions or comments from your audience during a presentation. Many beginners panic when someone asks a question because they feel the words are coming too fast. Practicing slow speaking prepares you to listen carefully and respond confidently. A practical approach is to record yourself. Speak slowly and listen to the recording. Notice areas where your pronunciation is unclear, where you rush, or where intonation is flat. Then, practice those sentences again. Recording is a simple way to track progress and build self-awareness. Over time, you will notice that speaking slowly actually allows you to speak faster naturally, because your foundation is solid. Psychologically, slow speaking reduces anxiety. Many learners think they must impress the audience with speed. This creates stress, which affects pronunciation and memory. When you focus on slow, clear speech, you feel calm. Calmness improves memory, word choice, and confidence. You begin to enjoy speaking rather than fearing mistakes. Finally, remember that slow speaking is not a permanent speed. It is a training tool. Once your pronunciation, stress, and rhythm are strong, you can gradually increase your pace. The key is clarity first, speed second. Beginners often rush because they are nervous. Slow speaking gives you control, allowing your speech to remain fluent even under pressure. So, to summarize, practicing pronunciation and slow speaking includes speaking slowly to form words and sentences clearly, breaking difficult words into syllables and practicing them, using shadowing to copy native pronunciation and intonation, focusing on stress and rhythm in sentences, practicing full sentences and common phrases, recording and listening to your speech for self-correction, using slow speaking to improve listening and comprehension, building confidence and reducing anxiety. By focusing on these strategies, you will notice that your English begins to sound natural. Your words flow easily, you feel more confident during presentations, and most importantly, slow speaking lays the foundation for real fluency. Remember, speaking slowly and clearly is not weakness. It is the fastest path to confident English fluency. When beginners give a presentation in English, one of the biggest mistakes they make is trying to sound too advanced. They use difficult words, long sentences, and complex grammar. But fluency is not about complexity. Fluency is about clarity. This is why using simple vocabulary and useful phrases is one of the most powerful strategies for speaking English confidently. Simple English does not mean weak English. Simple English is strong English. It allows your ideas to travel clearly from your mind to the listener. When your words are easy, your message becomes powerful. And when your message is clear, your confidence naturally increases. Think about how people communicate in real life. They do not use complicated words in daily conversations. They use common phrases. They repeat ideas. They keep sentences short. This is exactly how good presentations work. Your goal is not to impress the audience with vocabulary. Your goal is to make them understand you without effort. Using simple vocabulary also reduces mental pressure. When you try to remember difficult words, your brain becomes busy. Busy brains make more mistakes. Simple words are already stored in your memory. You can access them quickly. This gives you more mental space to focus on pronunciation, eye contact, and expression. Another important part of this key point is using useful presentation phrases. These phrases act like bridges. They connect one idea to the next. They guide your audience through your presentation. Phrases like "first, I would like to talk about," "next, let's look at," and "finally, I want to share" are easy to remember and extremely effective. When you use these phrases, your presentation feels organized and professional, even if your English level is beginner. These phrases also give you time to think. When you say, "Let me explain this part," your brain gets a moment to prepare the next sentence. This reduces pauses and nervousness. It also keeps your speech flowing smoothly. Simple vocabulary is especially important when you feel nervous. Stress reduces your ability to recall complex language, but simple words stay available even under pressure. This is why many confident speakers choose simple words on purpose. They understand that communication is not about showing intelligence, it is about sharing ideas. Another powerful strategy is repetition. Repeating key ideas using simple language helps your audience remember your message. For example, you can say, "This idea is important. It helps us understand the topic better." Repetition is not boring. It is helpful. Especially for listeners who are also learning English, repetition creates comfort and understanding. Simple vocabulary also helps with pronunciation and rhythm. Short, common words are easier to pronounce clearly. They flow naturally in sentences. When your speech flows, your confidence grows. This creates a positive cycle. Clear speech builds confidence. Confidence improves fluency. It is also important to avoid direct translation from your native language. Translated sentences often sound complicated or unnatural. Instead, learn ready-made English phrases. These phrases are used by native speakers every day. When you use them, your English sounds natural, even if your grammar is simple. For example, instead of translating a long sentence, you can say, "In my opinion," or "I would like to share." These phrases are easy, flexible, and powerful. They help you start speaking without hesitation. Another benefit of simple language is audience connection. When people understand you easily, they feel relaxed. Relaxed listeners pay more attention. This creates a positive energy between you and the audience. Your presentation becomes a conversation, not a performance. Over time, using simple vocabulary builds a strong foundation. Once your foundation is strong, you can add more advanced words naturally. But if your foundation is weak, advanced words create confusion. This is why beginners should focus on clarity first. So remember, you do not need big words to give a good presentation. You need clear words. You need useful phrases. You need confidence in simplicity. When you choose simple English, you give yourself permission to speak freely. You stop worrying about mistakes. You focus on connection. And when connection becomes your goal, fluency follows naturally. In the end, the best presenters are not those who speak the most complex English. They are the ones who make people understand, feel comfortable, and remember the message. And that is the true power of simple English. When you give a presentation in English, fluency is not only about words, it is also about connection. Key point 4 focuses on engaging your audience and using shadowing practice to sound natural and confident. This combination is powerful, especially for beginners, because it connects language learning with real communication. Let's begin with audience engagement. Many learners think a presentation is only about speaking correctly, but a presentation is actually a conversation, even if only one person is speaking. When you think of it this way, your mindset changes. You stop performing, and you start communicating. Engaging your audience starts with presence. Presence means being aware of yourself and the people listening to you. Stand or sit comfortably. Take a deep breath before you begin. This moment of calm helps your voice sound steady. When your body is relaxed, your words flow more easily. Eye contact is another important part of engagement. You do not need to stare at people, simply look at different areas of the room while speaking. This creates a sense of connection. It tells your audience that you are speaking with them, not at them. Even if your English is simple, eye contact makes your message feel confident. Your voice also plays a role. Speaking with a calm, steady tone helps people focus on your message. Avoid speaking in a flat or monotone voice. Small changes in intonation keep listeners interested. When you practice slow English podcasts, you naturally learn this rhythm. You hear how speakers pause, rise, and fall in their voice. Over time, this becomes part of your own speaking style. Now let's talk about shadowing, one of the most effective tools for sounding natural. Shadowing means listening to a speaker and repeating their words shortly after, copying rhythm, stress, and intonation. This is not about copying accent perfectly. It is about training your ear and mouth to work together. For presentations, shadowing helps in a very specific way. You can shadow common presentation phrases like, "Let me explain this idea," or "Now I would like to move to the next point." When you repeat these phrases many times, they become automatic. During your presentation, you no longer need to think about them. They come out naturally, reducing pauses and hesitation. Shadowing also improves confidence. When your mouth has practiced the sounds before, your brain feels safe. Fear often comes from uncertainty. Shadowing removes that uncertainty. You know your voice can produce the sounds correctly because you have done it many times in practice. Another key part of engagement is body language. Simple gestures such as open hands or gentle movements help express your ideas. You do not need dramatic gestures. Small natural movements are enough. They make your speech feel alive. They also help release nervous energy, making you feel more relaxed. Pausing is another powerful engagement tool. Beginners often fear silence. They think they must fill every moment with words, but pauses are not mistakes. Pauses give your audience time to understand. They also give you time to breathe and think. When you pause confidently, your presentation sounds professional and controlled. Shadowing teaches you this too. When you listen carefully to good speakers, you notice their pauses. They do not rush. They allow silence to work for them. By shadowing slowly, you learn to respect these pauses in your own speech. Engagement is also emotional. When you believe in what you are saying, your audience feels it. You do not need perfect English to be convincing. You need honesty and presence. Simple sentences spoken with confidence are more powerful than complex sentences spoken with fear. Finally, remember that engagement is a skill, not a talent. It grows with practice. Every presentation, even a small one, is an opportunity to improve. Shadowing, slow listening, and conscious speaking help you grow step by step. So, to bring everything together, engaging your audience and practicing shadowing help you speak naturally, calmly, and confidently. You stop focusing on mistakes and start focusing on connection. And when connection becomes your goal, fluency follows naturally. In the end, a good presentation is not about perfect English. It is about making people listen, understand, and feel something. When you speak with presence, practice with shadowing, and engage your audience, your English becomes not just fluent, but meaningful.